In the 1988 movie Bloodsport, Frank Dux makes his way through the very dangerous fighting tournament called the Kumite. He breaks bricks, cracks shafts, and sends the most badass man in the game into an early retirement. These are the Bloodsport Brawls. So things start off with Tanaka mourning that his son will never represent the family in the Kumite. Frank is like, listen, I know I cut the crust off my peanut butter and fluff sandwiches, but I really think I can take this thing. What happens next is a series of throwdowns to test Frank's bones, because everyone knows you can't win the Kumite with a candy corn spine. Things escalate with Tanaka hitting Frank with a taser in the back, the Michael Myers jump scare, and of course the human devil sticks. There's a mixture of mental training going on, but most of it is Frank getting his ass whooped. I mean, this is a straight up eyeball chop. Next up is a series of stomach blows called the colonoscopy prep, and holy shit, he just headbutted him down an elevator shaft. Welcome to the Thunderdome, biatch. But Frank is undeterred, and the sticks that once made him Deuce's tighty whities are now being caught mid-air. He's balling out with his eyes covered, so Tanaka knows he's ready to try waiting tables blindfolded. He calmly aces the TGI Fridays advanced training test and sits down ready to enjoy some tea, when the missus is like, crack this motherfucker's nose open immediately, and guess what? Denied, big dog. Tanaka has to make sure Frank can endure pain, so he tries to pull off all the limbs on his body, but Frank locks in and strikes back with the pinata is alive, and a lesser man is definitely tearing their scrot right here, but Dukes is rocking that elastic sack. Tanaka knows he is ready and gives his blessing, and all that training is why he is able to defeat the legend of Chong Li. This is a hell of a movie. I don't care if it really happened or not. Watch this twice a year and you'll be happier. Frank and Ray roll into the arena hoping to find out who they're going to face in the Kumite. They take Ray's invitation no problem because he looks like he could deadlift a tank, but Frank isn't so lucky. They're like, hey pal, the audition for Guys and Dolls is down the street. This here is a fighting tournament. Frank tells them that he trained under Senso Tanaka, and they're like, we highly doubt Senso Tanaka was training dudes in cocaine biker jackets, but you can prove it by doing the death touch. Off comes the coat, and my man is looking like Carrie Bradshaw on creatine in that getup. His boy tells him to crack the top middle brick, but just as he's about to drop the hammer, Captain Buzzkill is like, nah dude, you gotta break a brick on the bottom. Like, cool, yeah, I'll just do magic. Is that what you want? You want me to pull a pigeon out of my ass too? Everyone stops roundhouse kicking the air because they want a front row seat to an arm bone exploding on impact. Frank gets into the zone by breathing deeply and then bringing his hand up like he's holding a very tiny kitten. Then he slams his palm down, and goodness gracious, that brick just got somebody pregnant. Ray's like, what's up? How you like my boy now? And they're like, fine, we'll let you fight in our tournament where you'll most likely get your limbs pulled off your body in round one. Some guys give him a golf clap and some stare his ass down, but it's Chong Li that puts the fear of God into him. Frank is clearly intimidated as he looks like he's got a little bit of Pepto-Bismol stomach happening, but you know what? Hell of a move by Frank. Looking forward to seeing his roundhouse kick game at the tourney. So things start off with Frank getting hit with the tumble dry, and he's like, alright big dog, time to lock in and let the belly button breathe. His opponent gives Fonzie thumbs, but the good vibes don't last as his sternum gets absolutely demolished by a heel. He wanders back over, and good god, this is Rocky Balboa type defense. Frank tries to earhole him, but his leg gets caught, and suddenly he's in the Dirt Devil drag. Great for picking up half-eaten pretzels after a party, but you don't want to be here if you ever want to have children. Frank's able to get free, and he enters the close call back skip, a move for when you almost sit on a restaurant toilet, but at the last second you realize someone left a nasty floater. His next two kicks are ineffective because my man is straight flexing on him, so Frank tries to throw them hands, and that was a very big mistake because he is now being moved across the room like a grandfather clock. This may look like two hammered buddies hugging it out after forcing overtime and beer pong, but make no mistake, Frank's insides are turning to gack. Frank knows he's got to make a move, so he goes with a cheek crossover and finishes it off with a forehead to the dome. And like a wedding DJ that's losing the crowd, Frank knows the only way to get them back on his side is to smash the play button as hard as you can on shout. But his opponent is not going to go a little bit softer now, and Frank has that instant regret in his eyes, like I really shouldn't have tried to take batting practice with a hornet's nest. The big fella channels his inner creed and goes with arms wide open, but Frank hits the trapdoor and uppercuts his ball sack. And we are not talking about a little nut tap here, folks. This is a direct shot to the marble factory. Frank pops back up, and instead of breaking out a roundhouse kick, he takes pity on his opponent and gently sends him packing. Everyone is pumped except for Chong Li, who's like, alright, I gotta make sure I run out to Dick's Sporting Goods and grab a cup because I am not trying to get hit with that leaky lizard. First up, Frank Dux is walking in like he's about to make his Sunday Night Football debut. He's trying to lock in, but it's hard to concentrate when Chong Li is straight grilling his ass. Paco puts his hands up and he's like, here's to a good fight. After all, it's all about sportsmanship. Fucking psych! Down the elevator shaft you go. And Frank is hurt, yes, physically, but more so that Paco would lie to him. Like, come on, dog, what happened to brotherhood? He goes in for the finish, but Frank dishes out a classic leg chop, and now we have ourselves a ball game. Frank plays a little defense and then crushes a thigh like your stone cousin at Thanksgiving. Frank is now yelling at his opponent to try and crack his ribs, and he has a look in his eyes often seen in children after they've inhaled an entire packet of Fun Dip. And this is the crazed head tilt of a man who will steal your Starbucks order with zero hesitation. Like, yes, my name is also Paco, why do you ask? They go back and forth, and the boys are now having a good old-fashioned erotic kickoff. Yeah, you may read this in a Danielle Steele novel, but it doesn't make it any less dangerous. These motherfuckers want blood. Frank knows Paco's weakness is his left armpit, so he delivers 3 in a row, and then yoink, the dreaded melted snowman. Over to the other bracket, and if you were 10 seconds late because you were getting a big old Coors Light, Chong Li has already put a man into a coma. Good win for Chong Li, and wait a second, it appears he's interested in extending that coma into eternity. The ref is like, yeah, we said no rules, but I guess it was kind of implied that murder one is frowned upon. But he's not trying to start any trouble because he's just volunteering on a Saturday afternoon, and he's not trying to get his head kicked into the stands. Chong Li doesn't care that people aren't so pumped about his opponent taking a permanent snooze, and he walks over and tells Frank that him and his Supercuts men's regular ass is next. Everything is lined up for the Kumite finals, which should be a good one. Probably wouldn't hurt to have a couple EMTs waiting around just in case. Before the fight, Chong Li is all smiles because he hasn't snapped a neck in 6 hours and he's ready to go. Frank Dux, on the other hand, is like, shit, I got a fucking loaf in my pants. They meet in the center of the blood-soaked ring, flex their nips, and oh yeah, we got a chub off on our hands. Right off the bat, Dux uses the ref as a trampoline to deliver a flying chest kick, a move so powerful that it puts the official into a temporary coma. Li responds by doing that thing you do to your younger brother when you forget how light he is, and you go, hey, watch this, before tossing him through an end table, and your mom's like, for Christ's sake, this is why I drink wine from a coffee mug that says breathe. Frank does a front flip before detaching his leg and kicking Chong Li directly into the face, and folks, you've never been in a brawl until you've been hit in the cornea with a pinky toe. Now right here, Chong Li looks like a teen who just got the Spice Channel to go unfuzzy for 12 seconds, and he's running an up-tempo crankdown, but if you look closely, he's grabbing some kind of foreign substance, and he tosses it right in Frank's eyes, who at this point is like, dude, what the fuck, are we throwing sand now? I didn't hear about this. Was there a sand truck? Frank realizes he's sliding into another dimension, but he's trying to weather the storm. Like a dude who ate too many mushrooms, and he's like, these aren't even that strong. But also, why am I falling down a well filled with spiders? He throws a right hand to where he thinks his opponent is, and absolutely not, dude. Chong Li takes advantage by hitting Frank several times, including this slap, which is deadly if someone's suffering from swimmer's ear. Another kick sends him flying into a move known as, of course I can do this cartwheel in this Hooters. Things are getting dicey for Frank right here. His mind is melting like a guy who's in hour 3 of trying to put together an IKEA bookshelf. Where's the C14 screw? Bitch, there is no C14 screw. Frank lets out a full-blown panic scream. This is used when a friend asks you to help them move in exchange for pizza. And he's desperate. He's saying, Lord, I know I shouldn't have eaten a gas station hot dog before a wedding, but if you let me make it through the ceremony with a clean backside, I'll do whatever you want. God answers and says, hey, one set of footprints, motherfucker. Get on my back. And oh yeah, we're catching punches now. Frank starts doing double Dutch leg kicks and the crowd is losing their shit. Chong Li's a broken man. He's like, God damn, that weird fucking toe is coming at me again. I'll just stand here and take it, I guess. Frank delivers the knockout kick. The crowd's going nuts and Frank's like, I appreciate you guys clapping, but is anyone in here an ophthalmologist? Because my eye is fucked. No, seriously, I can't see any of you.